called demo mode. If it's inside and at all possible, we want to have the awning out some, everything lit up. They need to feel good about what they've just bought. So we're going to start right here. Always start at the front, okay? We're gonna start off. First thing I want to tell them about is their storage bays. Justin, you just bought a super nice camper, man. I want to start out here at the front. Notice you've got some really nice storage up front. Now, in this storage bay, you're going to find your manual tool for your jacks. You're also going to find your manual tool for your slides and your tongue jack up here, just in case. It's highly unlikely, but in case the motor goes out, your battery's dead, whatever, you've got a manual solution right here. Now then, every camper's a little bit different, Justin, but yours has electric jacks up front. Okay, now these are stab jacks. We want to emphasize stab jack. Stab stands for stabilizers. These are not leveling jacks, folks. Please do not attempt to level your camper, nor do you want to let these down and let your tongue jack up because it will collapse. So these are just there to sturdy things up and make it feel like the inside of a house for you, give you some good stability. I also recommend, you've got a nice sized foot on there, but I recommend having some boards, or we sell some really nice blocks inside to distribute the surface area more. It's really going to help you out in stabilizing the unit. Moving right along, you can see your awning and your outdoor speakers. We're going to talk more about those when we get inside to your control panel, Justin. But as we continue on down right here, we're gonna move on down every feature, because every camper is a little bit different, guys. Every feature that we see, we want to go over. Even if you've never set foot in the unit again, we all need to have some little knowledge. Outside, you're usually going to find a GFCI outlet. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a ground fault circuit interrupter. Basically, it's the same thing that's in your bathroom or outside at your house. Anywhere there's a possibility moisture can get in the outlet, it is there to save your life. So either way, you've got your GFCI outlet here, Justin, and notice you've got a park cable coax output right there. In case you want to watch TV, you can also pick up your antenna signal off of there. We'll talk a little bit more about your cable or satellite when we get around to your inputs over here though, okay sir? Notice you also do have a TV mount right here where your TV can slide right there already, so you don't have to have a cable or anything. Notice I've got all the storage bays and everything open, okay? So I've got the outdoor kitchen open. This really goes ahead and makes the customer feel good about what they bought. Like what I said, they're starting to see these features like this outdoor kitchen, Justin. You've got a real nice refrigerator. Now, some refrigerators are still the traditional RV style where they're dual fuel. They're propane and electric. That style of fridge is going to take about 6 to 8 hours to cool down on a typical day. So a little college dorm fridge like this is going to be really handy for the customer to keep their soft drinks in. The kids can get in and out of this one without causing much problems inside. They also have a GFCI outlet right there, Justin, so you can plug anything that you need into it. Just for wind, I'm going to go ahead and let that back down. Now, looking right here, Justin, you'll see you've got a control for your stab jacks back here, just like up front. Once again, I want to emphasize, those are stabilizer jacks, not leveling jacks. So as we move on around the camper, this unit already has a ladder. So right about here, I'm going to pick this point to emphasize how important it is to take care of your roof. Justin, you've just spent $30,000 on your camper. This is your investment. I want to encourage you to take care of your roof. It needs to be washed and conditioned at least once a year, if not twice. And also, if you're up there, or the high school kid that you've hired to wash it's up there, or if you bring it back to us and we're up there, you need to look at the lap joints at least 3 to 4 times a year. Mainly the skylights, the roof vents, anywhere where anything overlaps is called a lap joint. Please only use Dicor products on that. Dicor is the only product on the market that will stick to an EPDM roof. So bear that in mind. You want to emphasize our product line to the customer. With that being said, as soon as I touch on the roof, I like to go on ahead and tell the customer about the joints. Justin, somewhere on this camper, there's a sticker that says, every 90 days, inspect your terminations. If you don't do that, you can really damage your investment. The number one enemy of campers is water. So what I want to show the customer, Justin, I want you to look, see how I can push in on this? It's not bowing in. See how you've got a good, clean line of seal, whether it be butyl putty or silicone. We're sealed up there, no cracks. If you start to see cracking, or every three months, we come out here and kind of push around if it opens up. You need to call us and schedule. If this was a new camper, they're going to have a year bumper to bumper warranty to get that taken care of for them. Or if they're the lifetime warranty, we're going to explain that we're going to catch that for them while it's in. So moving right along, we're going to step right back here. Justin, this is some of those inputs I was telling you about that you got. Notice you have park cable, and you've got two different satellite hookups here. Okay, most of the time you're only going to have one satellite hookup and one cable hookup. Sometimes they're the same. It just depends on how the manufacturer has prepped it. I call it the auxiliary hookup just as a generic term. So, Justin, I want to let you know, if you go to a campground, man, where they've got cable, if you'll run your coax right here and leave your antenna booster off, which we'll talk about more here in a little bit, do a channel search under cable, you'll be able to pick up that park's cable, no problem, man. You'll be watching HBO in no time. Now with satellite, I always ask the customer, Justin, do you plan on putting a king dish or a hopper on this setup?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Now, most of these campers, Justin, are all prepped for satellite now. Okay, there may be some light changing that the satellite man may have to do, or if you bring it here, we can do that. We are 120 a shop hour, but we can get you fixed up. The reason that you may have to do a little swapping is the coax that's inside there for antenna and cable is not designed to carry the same signal as the satellite in most cases. Some of the newer ones they're coming out with now do have the orange cable that is rated for that. It's just kind of dependent on which camper they bought, if it's used or new. Moving right along off of that, Justin, I want to let you know you've got an auxiliary grill back here, man. I know you like to do some cooking out, probably for the family and everything. In an actual walkthrough situation, like I said, we want this in demo mode. So we would like to have this out here for the customer, just like on the 26D buds. They've got the induction heat, induction cooktop on them. We have that out and ready, and we tell them where their cookware is and kind of show them where it's at. Moving right along, Justin, you'll notice we've got a real nice tire cover on here for you. Adventure Camper Cell tire cover. It's a little bit heavier than the manufacturer tire cover. I don't know if you've ever had a Jeep or something like that with a spare tire. If you don't keep a good tire cover on there, a good thick one, you will dry rot your tire. While we're talking about your tires, Justin, I want to let you know, let's say that the max PSI on this camper for these tires is 65 PSI. We usually set them about 5 pounds under max PSI. Reason being, hardly nobody is going to load this thing down to capacity. But if they do, Justin, if you do load this thing up to the brim, man, you're probably going to have to top your tires on off to 65. It is important that all 4 tires be the same PSI so that they wear evenly and the camper travels down the road in a safe manner. But we've set that at 60 PSI because it's going to give you a little bit cushier ride, and it's actually going to grip the road just a little bit better for you. So as we move right around, I also want to let you know, Justin, we've checked all of your lights, signals, turns, brakes, everything on your camper as far as any lighting, exterior, brakes goes. So, feel safe on that. Something else I want to let you know, Justin, when we're talking about these terminations, when we get to the side, I like to touch on the terminations on the side. Keep an eye on these terminations as well. Same story right here. If you see any cracking or anything, holler at us. That's basic upkeep, and that is on the PDI sheet for Forest River and Heartland. So that we cover that. So moving right along, Justin, this port right here, you'll notice you've got one on the other side as well. Remember that handy dandy slide out tool I told you if you should ever need? That's what that is. You'll see the notch that it fits into. You should never have any problems out of your slide, but in the off chance that you do, that's where you're going to let the other side in. Vice versa, there's a hole over there we let this side in. So moving right along, we're going to come on down right here. So this is one of the key points right here, guys, that we need to stress this to the customer. This unit has a 50 amp power supply on it, okay? 50 amps, that's 220, 2 legs of 110, 180 degrees out of phase. So with that being said, he's got 2 air conditioners on this. Most 50 amps will have 2 air conditioners. If he goes to a campground that he only has 30 amp service, or if he's at his house and he drops down to a 15 amp circuit, at this time we want to let them know if they drop to the 15 amp circuit, do not run your air conditioners. The fan will start up because it's going to pull about 12 amps on what's called full load amps, startup amperage. Then your compressor is going to kick in, which is going to be about another 12 amps on full load amps while our fan is still at full load amps. So that's 24 amps on your 15 amp circuit. It will go ahead and run, but it's going to burn that compressor up. Likewise, if we drop down from a 50 to a 30, we can only run one air conditioner at a time. Do not run both of them. Same story, they will burn up. Likewise, at that time, I like to show the customer where their cord's at. We have inspected your cord, sir. Most of the time, it's plugged into the unit. We've inspected your cord, and I usually tell them the length on it if it's 25 or 30 feet. Coming right here, our next important point before we go to the business end of things. This is our outdoor shower. Usually we have this opened up and set up so that they can kind of see what they've got, demonstrate. We use it for the dogs, the kids, everything like that, Justin. So that way, if you get muddy or the dogs are muddy or the kids are hot, you just get out there and spray them down or clean yourself off, whatever you've got to do. Now then, moving down to our waste dumps. Now, you got to be careful on these guys. Most of the time they're labeled, but there's some that are not. The stickers have came off, and on some used units, there's so with that being said, if you look down here, notice they've labeled black tank, gray tank, gray tank. Black tank valve is right back there. Usually they do it in the order that they are. So black tank is right back there, and it's got a black handle. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be color coded, Justin. Just so you know. Now, this is your gray. That's going to be your galley. Galley is kitchen, just like on a ship. Then we have our other gray right back there. It's going to be for your bathroom, Justin, just so you know. Now, another important tech tip, Justin, just so you know, whenever you go to empty this thing, you're going to have your sewer hose up there hooked up. I want you to dump your black tank first, and then I want you to chase it with your gray water. That's going to get all those nasty little tidbits out for you so you don't have to store a stinky hose. But either way, always let them know to do that. That's going to make them a happier guest. So with that being said, we're going to move on. We've got our black tank flush, fresh water connection, which is going to be to fill our fresh water tank. They're not always like this. Most of the time, you have a little cap that you unscrew, and it's actually a fill port. It's a straight down fill port with a pin. Rob's, this is like a Cadillac, Justin, that you've bought, so most definitely. It's got one of those fancy check valves on it. So, first thing I want to iterate is the black tank flush. Justin, I don't know if you've ever had a camper before, but if you've had, you've probably had your black tank give you a false reading. Basically, what's happened is some little tidbits of some fun stuff have gotten hung on the probes. There's a series of probes in there that, as the waste level rises, ground out and feed back to your readout panel. So what the genius engineers at the whatever camper manufacturer this is, at the Heritage Glen factory have come up with is a series of jets that are pointed directly at this probe. So what I want to do for you, Justin, is I want to tell you how to do this. First of all, on any one of these ports, your camper water pressure is 40 psi. Do not exceed that. If you exceed 40 psi, that's what the camper quote is rated for, and you will find leaks. Let them know if they hook up without a water pressure regulator, they will find leaks and we will be fixing them. So, on your black tank flush, Justin, I recommend doing this once or twice a year anyways, just for good maintenance. Hook up your water pressure regulator, and you're going to put your hose on here. You're going to make sure that your cap is off and your full away termination valve, which is your black tank valve, is open. If your full away termination valve is not open, it will create an overpressure scenario that could cause fecal matter to shoot up from your commode and hit the ceiling in your camper. I've seen it done. Either way, handy dandy tool. Let it run a couple minutes and you can go on ahead and stop the water and kind of check the probes if you're getting a false reading. It should knock all that debris off there. If it doesn't, for some odd reason, if you've let some hard buildup get in there, you may have to call one of us. Never give your name specifically. Say one of us, and we can either schedule something for you or we can just take care of it. But 9 times out of 10, with proper maintenance, that's going to take good care of it. We'll talk more about your black tank when we get inside, Justin, because that's one of the main areas that is left out of walkthroughs, and people really don't know how to properly care for a black tank. Moving right along, the fresh water connection, like I was saying, is to fill your fresh tank. just in case you're going to be doing any dry camping, Justin, this is the point where I like to ask if they're going to do any dry camping. You're going to do some dry? Excellent. We may want to talk to you later about some solar if you're going to do some extended dry camping. Going ahead and throw that solar out there. And we can talk more about that at another time, or if you're interested later. But I want to let you know, you can monitor your fresh tank off of your readout in there. When you're filling that rascal, you'll want to, just so that you don't overfill. And if you do, it's no big deal. There's a vent that it'll drain out of. At this time, we want to go ahead and take the time to identify for the customer where their drain's at for their fresh tank. And it looks like this one. This one is going to be right back there. It's right between the axles, Justin. I don't know if you see that little poppet, or that line with the poppet valve sticking out. That's where you're going to drain your tank. Something I also recommend, if you're planning on drinking any of that water, every time you use it, please flush it and sanitize it. We've got some products inside I'll show you if you're more interested in that. Moving right along. City water connection. Once again, always use your water pressure regulator, Justin. Your city water connection is where you're going to hook your freshwater hose to your camper, and it's going to provide water pressure for your camper. Likewise, I'll hop back to your freshwater. If you use that, you do have a pump that will pressurize your camper, and I'll show you where the controls for that are in just a few minutes when we go over your readout. Moving right along. Justin, this is your furnace vent. Notice it says hot. Please keep the kiddos away from this if you're using this furnace. It will scald them severely, I assure you. I'm no salesman, Justin, but I just want to let you know from a tech standpoint, or from whatever you are standpoint, because you have experience in this. The one accessory I recommend you don't leave here without today is dauber screens. If they've already bought a starter pack, they're going to get the dauber screens anyways, but if they bought the starter kit, you mentioned it anyways, they feel more secure about their purchase. So with that being said, if you want the dauber screens, Justin, they're all about 18 bucks. They're about $18. I can pop them on there in 2 minutes. Won't charge you a dime to put them on there for you if that works for you. Usually they're like, oh yes, I do. Or, well, why do I want the dauber screen? Well, I'll tell you, Justin, if you want the dauber screens because daubers around here or anywhere in the South are really, really bad. And if they build a mud nest on any of the components inside that furnace, it's usually going to take us about 4 hours to pull that thing, clean it, bench test it, and reinstall it. The cheapest one I've done one for lately is about $350. Charge for that. Whereas if you take an $18 now, it's going to keep that from happening. Moving right along. Your hot water heater, Justin. This is your hot water heater on your camper. Now, I don't know if you've had a camper or not before. Sometimes they can be a little stubborn to come off there to a pop. But this is your standard hot water heater. This is a 6-gallon. They make them up to 10. This is going to provide plenty of hot water for your family, Justin. Notice you have a pop-off valve and a wasp there. The wasp comes free of charge. Anyway, pop-off valve there, just like a house. Always pop that valve, make sure you get a couple dribbles of water before turning this on either propane or electric. That way you don't damage your hot water heater with a propane or burn up your electric heating element. If you do, however, don't worry. We can take care of that. Heating elements aren't that much, and it's usually about an hour worth of labor, depending on if it's a Suburban or that. Either way, with that being said, Justin, I'm going to put the switch out to you. There's several different flavors of water heater, but yours, for the electric side of the element, you're going to have your master power right here. Sometimes there's a secondary switch inside. Not always, though. This is the standard setup. So if you want to turn your say you're plugged in at the campground and you want your water heater to run on 120, just flip that switch right there. As long as there's not a master switch inside, it'll come on 120 and you'll be in good shape. Likewise, your switch for your propane, because this is a dual fuel water heater, is inside. Not all water heaters are dual fuel. Some are just propane. Some of the older ones are manual pilot light, not direct spark ignition. Justin, your gas side of your water heater is direct spark ignition, also known as DSI, but you won't have to worry about lighting the pilot or anything like that, just so you know. If it is going to be a manual light or an older style gas water heater, let me know if you're going to have to do that walkthrough. I'll walk you through that. Either way, we're going to pop this back on. And Justin, sometimes these dirt daubers have this water heater too. So I just want to let you know, you may consider dauber screens for your water heater also. They're not as bad, but bay, Justin. Now notice your power cords right here. I'm going to point out. Don't worry, Rob. I'll take good care of it. Notice this is your 50 amp. This is your 50 amp power cord plug-in. This is the male side of it. You have a ground, a neutral, and those two legs of 120, which make your 240 or 220, just depending on how you're wired. With that being said, this is the female end. This is a NEMA style configuration twist lock. Notice it has little grooves right here, and if you look on your plug-in, you'll see the little notches. You push this in, turn, lock, and then you can thread it on there to make sure that it doesn't go through. With that being said, we'll scurry on inside to the inside part of this now. It's the fun part.
What about propane? Propane. Battery. Battery disconnect. You're gonna have to pull it.
This is your unit, right? Why are you not doing it to Rob? Halfway through, switch to Rob.
No, Justin. I
Scratch my camper, dude.
Let everybody gather in here. Come on in, Justin. Might I say you've made a fine selection. Never mind the scratch. Okay, guys. So we've came inside the unit now. Justin, your camper is equipped with a household refrigerator. We'll talk more about the power supply for this here in just a little bit. As long as you're plugged into 120, whether it be on a 15, a 30, or a 50, you're going to have power for that. This is not a dual fuel refrigerator. We'll talk more about dual fuel refrigerators another day. Either way, with that being said, fine refrigerator. You don't have to worry about the kiddos getting in and out of this one. They can get in and out all they want. It is a household refrigerator. It takes about an hour to cool down. You open the door, close the door, it recovers in 10 minutes. Likewise, on a dual fuel traditional camper stove, traditional camper refrigerator, I'm sorry, they take up to 8 hours to cool down. So if you're going on a camping trip, Justin, with one of those, you're going to want to plug in the night before and let it go ahead and cool down, or turn it on propane and make sure it's lit the night before. You've got a super nice microwave here, Justin. I want to caution you, it will burn your popcorn, so be careful. Most people assume that campers have subpar appliances, Justin. I just wanted to let you know this is a quality piece of merchandise. Right here you've got your range. This is propane. Flip up your little glass deal right there. Now you do have a spark option on here that will help automatically light it. Okay, I still recommend the camping lighter, also known as a candle lighter. You know the one I'm talking about, don't you, Justin? Either way, that's going to come in real handy when you go to light your oven. Now, when you go to light your oven, if you look right down here, you're going to see the pilot element. What you'll want to do is you'll want to go on ahead and turn it to pilot. If your gas has been off for a little bit, you may have to burp your system. To do that, make sure that your gas is on and go on ahead and light up one of these top elements, which I can hear your gas on right now. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. Light that up, let it burn for a minute. Likewise, anything that you're going to use propane, if you haven't used your propane in a while, I'd recommend doing this first anyways, just to get some propane going back through your system. But either way, back to lighting your oven. So we've burped our system, we hit the pilot. I'd go ahead and hold that pilot in for at least 8, 10, 15 seconds before I go down here and try to light that rascal. Once it lights for you, it'll look just like a little candle. Go ahead and let it burn for a minute until it starts to burn a straight blue flame. Once it burns that blue flame, you can let off the pilot and go to your selected temperature. You'll be in good shape. So, with that being said, that's our oven. Cooktop. Most everybody knows how to use a cooktop, Justin, but I'm going to go ahead and explain it to you. You have all your different selectable temperatures right there, and like I said, you can either light it with your sparker option or you can use your candle lighter. We're going to fold that back down, Justin, because I don't want any other scratches to get put on your unit. Either way, right here we've got a real nice feature for you, Justin. We've got an electric fireplace. These light up oh so pretty. Imagine it's in demo mode, so we've got this lit up. We may not have the heat on if it's in the summertime, but we do have it lit up. So this is so pretty, Justin. I know you like it. I want to go ahead and let you know these will actually really, really help supplement the propane heat in your camper. What I like to do is go ahead and let my camper heat up if I'm camping on a cold fall night. Let it heat up with my propane furnace, and then I'll turn that rascal right there on and go ahead and let him kind of maintain, and it really cuts down on your fuel usage. You're already paying for the park's power, so why not? At this time, I like to go on ahead, and our antenna booster is going to be on a different, it's going to be back there, I think. We'll talk about the antenna booster when we get there. Real quick, I want to let you know, to do a channel search for antenna, you want to make sure your antenna booster's on, which I will show you where that's at in just a second. You'll want to go to menu, scroll over to channel. All TVs are almost programmed alike now. Go to channel. It's going to ask you if you're wanting to watch air, cable, or satellite. For air, you're going to want to set up for air. It's automatically going to pop up and ask you if you want to do a channel search. Click yes. It'll bring you in all the channels. As long as your antenna booster's on, it'll bring you in all the channels that are in your area. Now, if you drive 60 miles further south or something like that the next day, you'll probably have to do another channel search just because you're getting out of that area. With that being said, right here is your radio. This is also a built-in DVD player, just so you know. Isn't that awesome? Quick note, the majority of these are all DVD player built in. Some of them don't say it, but they are. If they don't say it and you're curious if it is or not, just holler at me and I'll let you know if it is a DVD player or not, just so we don't tell the customer they've got something they don't. Either way, Justin, so you've got your DVD player, and notice you've got speaker A, B, and C. You've got several speakers throughout. Remember the speakers I told you we talked more about when we got inside. You can select whether you want just the inside on, half of the inside on, the inside and the outside on, or just the outside, however you want to do it. It's really, really handy. And it also, when watching a DVD, acts as a surround sound system. So that's pretty cool, yeah. Most definitely. Basically, other than that, you can, on this one, I don't know if you can plug in a auxiliary. Yeah, you can plug in an auxiliary. So you can listen to your music off your phone and everything like that. So it's all good. You want to point out some of the power outlets for them. A lot of people's complaint is there's not enough outlets. So if you identify those outlets for them, usually they're really happy from the get-go. Also, at this time, I like to come over here to your readout panel. Justin, here's your readout panel. Notice it's got a slide room control right here, another slide room control right there, and an awning in or out. Whenever we go to close this unit up, Justin, I'm going to let you bring the slides in, and you can bring them back out and in if you want to. I just want to familiarize you with the sounds and operation of your slide out. While we're talking about the slide outs, I also want to let you know, when you go camping, be sure to secure anything you've got. If there's travel locks, please use them on the TVs, the furniture, anything. If something bounces out in front of these slides and you don't see it, slide outs have a lot of torque. They do not care what they get a hold of. You will either damage your slide out or something in your camper if you don't keep a good eye on that. So always bear that in mind. But we'll come back to that and let you close up the unit before we pull it out and all that good stuff. Now, remember I was telling you there is a water pump if you should use your freshwater tank. By the way, the capacity on a freshwater tank, depending on what model it is, and if you need to, you can pull up the spec sheet on the specific camper, but this one should be right at 30 gallons. So you've got about a 30-gallon fresh tank. That's going to last you a long time in a dry camping scenario, as long as you're frugal with your water use. So, just if you're showering, turn the valve off on the shower head while you're doing your hair and soaping down after you've got wet, and turn it back on to rinse off. Really cuts down on water usage. Either way, so your water pump control's right there. That's going to pressurize your system just as if you were on city water. Likewise, remember I told you I would show you the propane switch for your dual fuel water heater. That's your propane switch. Now there's a little LED right here. It says DSI fault. Whenever we first turn on your water heater, that DSI light is going to light up until it's lit. Once again, just like that stove, if you haven't used your system in quite a while, you could have a lot of air in your system. So anytime before I do that, I go on ahead. I actually like to go to the furthest gas appliance back and get it going. Most of the time, your range is going to be fine for you though. So either way, you've lit the range, you turn this on, the DSI fault light doesn't go out, it never lights. They will cycle 2 to 3 times depending on how they're wired. Before they cancel out and you have to turn them off and back on. You may have to do that once or twice if there's a lot of air. Likewise, The number one reason that people can't get their propane water or their water heater to light on propane is because they have not turned their propane tanks on. I'm going to show you here in just a minute where your propane tanks are and your battery bank and all that good stuff. So we'll talk more about that here in just a second. We do have some light switches here, which we're going to pretend it's already lit up. I always like to turn the light switches off and on. Justin, anything that didn't just go out with those light switches is considered a reading light. So they ask that you turn that off and on manually. Moving right along, here's all your levels that I told you about: your battery level, your fresh tank level, your black tank level, your gray tank, and your galley tank. Now, Justin, I want to let you know that we have filled up and tested every single one of these tanks. There is not a leak anywhere that we can find. I do want to let you know, though, anything designed to go 70 miles per hour down the road can and will have problems at some point. We only get about 24 to 48 hours with this during the PDI, and our guys are as thorough as they come. But we may have missed some little something. We're only human, but it really takes getting out there camping with your family to really find everything that that you may see that needs some attention. So if you see something, don't panic. Just maybe write it down, make a little list. Now, if it's something major, go ahead and just call us. As soon as you can. But something little something, we can get that on a annual inspection, or just sometime you're not using it, holler at us and we'll make an appointment. We'll get you all fixed up, I assure you. So if you're not a happy camper, I'm not a happy whatever you are. So with that being said, Justin, here's your awning control right here. Now you've got an electric awning. If we had a manual awning, I'll spend some time with you on that. Anybody that's going to have to do something over manual awning. But notice you're in and out right there. They're really, really handy. I really like them. They beat the socks off the manual awnings. I do want to caution you, though, Justin. If there's a 5 mile per hour wind, roll it up. If you're going to go to the bathhouse and it's a bluebird day and you're only going to be gone for 5 minutes, roll it up. If you're going to take a mountain bike ride and there's no wind in the forecast, I don't care. Roll it up. I've gone to the campground and pulled these tubes out of the sides of other campers where they've blown off. Don't risk it, my friend. They're very expensive, and they can be a real headache if something goes south with them. Other than that, they can make it a magical camping experience. If you want to sit out there in a nice summer shower or something like that, no wind, enjoy the weather, that's great. It's going to auto dump that water for you, so you don't have to worry about that. Or you can go ahead and tilt it manually and secure it with the locks on this. And I'll show you if this had a battery, I'd let it out. But either way, with that being said, I'm going to let you bring the awning in and out also, Justin, before we go, just so you're familiar with the operation of it and you feel good about it. Right here is your air conditioner for your living area. Notice there's some dust particles up there. It really appears that the last customer that had this unit didn't change their filters very often. Either way, with that being said, you'll want to change these filters out once a year maybe. You can also take